Velkommen til DigiTV. I dag er vi på besøk hos IBM for å se et portabelt modulært datasenter plassert i den grønne containeren som vi ser bak oss. Vi skal treffe Brian Kenny, som er IBMs globale ansvarlige for datasenteret. Og han skal vise oss litt hva som befinner seg på innsiden her, og hva dette her er for noe.
Basically what you see in front of you is an example of a new IBM data center solution, part of the IBM data center family, as we call it. It's a new approach to modular, energy-efficient data centers. This particular member of the family is called the Portable Modular Data Center, or we call PMDC for short. Basically, it's taking an entire data center and building it into shipping containers. It conforms to the ISO standards, so it can be shipped by truck, railroad car, cargo ship, and in some cases by plane. And we maintain that ISO standard on the outside so we can ensure that we can ship it anywhere in the world very easily. Now, some people will ask, why do you want to build it in shipping containers? And there's a few reasons. One is you can install these anywhere in the world because we have a special insulation material that all of the containers are lined with, which means we can install them in any environment, hot, cold, wet, dry, doesn't matter what the environment is, we can install these containers. They can also be portable if you want to move them around to different locations for disaster recovery purposes, or say you're a movie studio who needs to move it as you're shooting movies in different locations, sporting events, military applications, even oil and gas exploration. You can move your data center along with you.
So
very
quite
easy.
Versatile.
Very versatile. Also for temporary applications. If you're building a new data center, it might take 2 to 3 years to build, you can use these solutions temporarily to extend your raised floor space. So what you see here in this example is a 20-foot container, 20 feet long, 8 feet high. We also provide the solutions in 40-foot lengths, so twice this size, and also 53-foot lengths. So we can actually increase the size of this quite a bit to fit more IT equipment if that's what the client's needs are. One thing you'll notice when you come inside is that all of the walls, as well as the ceiling and floor, are insulated and sealed. So we're not worried about outside temperatures, outside weather conditions, because all of this insulation protects us from temperature swings, humidity issues, or anything of that sort. It's also fire protective. It offers 120 minutes of passive fire protection, as well as protection from radio frequency interference and electromagnetic interference. So it's a very, very good insulation material, and you see the entire container is sealed with it. In fact, if you see the door, I don't know if you'll be able to see, you can see how solid the door is with that insulation material. In fact, this door it's a special door that we put inside the container. We don't use the large end double doors. And you'll notice each door is triple sealed. We have 3 different types of gaskets, and it's triple sealed, so that protects against any water penetration, smoke, fire, humidity. So it's a very tight seal. We also, on all the doors, put a crash bar. So if you need quick exit, you can easily get out very quickly. You don't have to worry about those large, heavy end doors and trying to get those open, because once you're inside, you can't close those. These doors you can close and lock when you're inside, so you're maintaining your physical security as well as maintaining the environment, the temperature and humidity levels inside, which is very important to IT equipment. On larger containers, we would put multiple doors, so you have multiple exit points for safety. As well as access. When you're coming into the Portable Modular Data Center, what we do is typically right outside the door we have an access control system, which could be a fingerprint scanner, or a magnetic card reader, or a numeric keypad. Right here we just put an example of a fingerprint scanner on the inside, only because this unit is now touring throughout Europe, so we put it on the inside just so we don't break it off, as we're out there. But this you would typically scan your fingerprint to get access to the door. Once the door is opened and you get inside, we have closed-circuit television cameras which see who's coming in the container, so you can monitor that from any point around the world through the internet. Not only do you monitor people who might be coming in, this will also monitor temperature levels, humidity levels, leak detection, and so on. So you can monitor this unit from anywhere in the world. You don't have to be here to see what's going on. Another very unique feature of the Portable Modular Data Center, as you'll see a row of racks here as an example, each of these racks is built on a rail system. And that rail system allows the racks to move forward and backward, so you can actually access and maintain all of your IT equipment, not only from the front, but also from the back. And I'll show you an example of sliding one of the racks out, how easy it'll slide, how smooth the operation is, and how it moves all the way out to give you complete access behind the rack. So you can see the amount of space you have in front of the racks, so you can do any type of access to your equipment. You can gain access to all of your IT equipment or cabling systems. But then if you go around the back, I'll show you how easily this will slide out. If you want to step forward, this way you don't get cut off. So you can slide these racks out. And you'll see how much space you have behind these racks now to be able to access equipment, cables, what have you. So it's much easier. Now, what we can do is the doors could be closed and locked, and we can be in a nice secure environment, maintaining this internal temperature and humidity, but still being able to access all of our IT equipment from both sides and be able to get to cables, servers, whatever you might need to access. And the other feature is that we base this on open IT architecture, meaning that you can install any IT equipment in here. It doesn't have to be IBM. We can support HP, Dell, Sun. It doesn't matter. If it fits in a 19-inch rack, we can support it. In fact, we can do non-rack mounted equipment also. An example would be, in this corner we have a chiller unit that we show for an example to provide chilled water to the cooling systems, but you can see how it's not a rack mounted piece of equipment and it still fits in here nicely. Now typically we would put this in a separate infrastructure container where we'd have a chiller, large UPS systems, batteries, but here it's more of a compact solution just to show some of the technologies and what's possible.
And also some of the equipment here is not IBM manufactured.
Correct.
Could you tell us a bit about the partners you have on this product?
Yes, absolutely. It's a very good point because as you know, IBM does not manufacture chillers. We don't manufacture UPS systems. But what we do is we have relationships with the global, the leading suppliers of those pieces of equipment. So you see many examples around here from APC units to Eaton, Stultz, and many others, Vet Corporation, and so on. So what we do is we find the best suppliers of equipment around the world and we bring them together into a totally integrated solution. So what we do is we use our design expertise along with all of our partners' equipment, the knowledge we have of designing and building data centers and our IT equipment, and we bring it all together into a total solution package. So what the client is getting is the best of everything that's being offered. So as you can see from the chillers to the UPS systems, we've got different types of cooling solutions. As you'll see, overhead fan coil units we could use. We have in-row cooling units like this one on the end. We also have the IBM rear door heat exchanger. It's a door that fits on the back of the rack. You can see it only adds about 3 or 4 inches in depth, but it removes all of the heat that's generated by this rack. It's basically a chilled water loop, or like a radiator system. There's no moving parts, requires no electricity, no service, no maintenance, and there's no noise, there's no fans. So basically it's the server fans which push the hot air back, go through this coil, which is very low resistance, and it removes all the heat. So actually, when this door is closed and it's operating, when you feel the temperature on the back of the door, the air coming out is actually cooler than the air going in the front. So it's very energy efficient, very effective. And we can put these on every rack within the container, and that would be the total cooling solution. We can supplement it with either overhead fan coil units or the in-row cooling unit. So we have different options, but very efficient, very effective solution. This is the fire detection and suppression system. So we have a VESDA system where we're taking air samples constantly, and what we're doing is checking to see if there's any particulate in the air that might signal that there's a fire. If this senses a fire, we release a gas. In this case, we have Novec gas because it's safe for humans. We could use any other type of gas, Energen or FM200. And on the end here, you'll see the basically the power, the main power panel. So your incoming power, you have your main circuit breakers and your branch circuit breakers, as well as transient voltage surge suppression to filter the incoming power before it even goes to the UPS. So again, as you can see, we've got all the features of a traditional data center built within a container. So there's nothing left out. So everything you expect to find in a complete turnkey data center is within the container.
Who would want this product and why?
Okay, I'll tell you, originally when we designed the solution, we thought it was going to be a very small market, more geared toward oil exploration, gas exploration, militaries. We're also finding people using these for temporary space. If they need to build a new data center, they can put one of these in temporarily and extend the raised floor space for whatever amount of time they need. Also disaster recovery. We had a client in Denmark who actually had a fire in their data center and could not operate anymore. We actually supplied a container and they were actually able to continue running. We just moved the IT equipment into the container and they continued to run and keep their business operating. What you need when you put a container in, there's 3 different interfaces you would need. One is just raw electric power, which we bring in. a water source, very minimal water for the humidifier, and then basically a network connection. And your network connection is going to be a communication to the outside world. So those three things that you bring into a container, that's all we need. So we can install anywhere in the world as long as we have those three sources. We've actually had some clients who didn't have electric power available, so we're using engine generators, though it's not a practical solution because you're constantly running your generator 7x24, but it can be done. So there's different ways we can do it. But those three sources, that's all you need to be able to install and run your total solution. The typical design has a PUE of about 1.3. Now, if you compare that to a regular data center today, most of the data centers we see, and we do studies on many, many data centers, they average a PUE of about 2.5 to 2.7. So this being 1.3 is much, much more efficient than what you'll find. And the reason we can do that is it's a very close environment, temperature is easy to control, and we have different cooling options to meet those stringent energy efficient needs. These type, the portable modular data center, this design type, we've shipped right now, I believe it's 27 containers globally, with many, many clients who are very interested right now, that we're ready to ship more out the door. We're constantly building and shipping new units. But right now installed, there's about 27 containers, and we announced this a little less than a year ago. So, and it's just catching on where it's getting more and more popular as people, because at first, when you first introduce a new technology like this, it's slow to catch on. Nobody wants to be the first person to try something new like this. Now that we've got some out there, they're seeing this, and it's really starting to catch on very quickly. If you had a 20-foot box like this, and it had, say, 8 IT racks at high density, maybe 20 to 30 kilowatts per rack with your infrastructure, you're looking at somewhere around $500,000 to $600,000. That's on the small scale. If you want much larger, a couple of 40-foot containers, 17 racks at 30 kilowatts per rack, it could be, say, $2.5 million. Because you can install, say, a single container if that's what your needs are today, and as your needs grow, your business needs, we can add additional containers on at any time and do it in a non-disruptive manner. Now, we can either add separate containers that are totally independent, or we can have a single infrastructure container. Again, that's the container that would have your chiller and your UPS batteries, electrical panels. We can have one of those feeding multiple IT containers. So we can actually add them on, again, non-disruptively by plugging them into the infrastructure container and just keep adding on. In fact, with containers, you can actually, if you want to, you can stack them also. So to save on floor space or ground space, you can actually stack them.
Is there a limit as to how high you can stack the containers?
Well, actually, the ISO standard containers, shipping container, on cargo ships, you can actually stack, I believe it's up to 9 units high, but we would never recommend that with IT equipment. Typically, we want to limit it to maybe 2 to 3 maximum. I would say just to be safe, maybe two containers high would really be the optimum, so you can gain easy access.